We're back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be. Ric Serritella here on this Football Friday affair, October 10th, 2025. It's our 40th edition of the All Access Football Daily Show. We thank you so much for buckling up and hunkering down. You see, I got my Rutgers shirt dusted off from the mothballs. Tonight, we got a Friday Night Light football affair over on the West Coast as Rutgers travels into Washington. Some really good games on the college football docket tonight, including USF in North Texas, Fresno State at Colorado State. We'll get into some of the names you need to know as we count you down to the 2026 NFL Draft and everything pigskin here on the All Access Football Daily Show. It is your home for real football talk. Flying solo today. All right, a lot to get to. We had some great guests throughout the week. Yesterday, our good friend James Larson from the Pro Football Newsroom joined us to talk everything United Football League. Realignment, relocations, new venues, new division, playoff format, free agency. We got a UFL draft update, and stay tuned. We just might be live streaming the UFL rookie draft, which is slated to be later this month. We'll see if they hold to it. It's been pushed back a couple of times. Of course, it is WestJet Thanksgiving weekend north of the border. We got the Canadian Football League steamrolling into week 19, just 3 weeks left in the Canadian Football League season, and we're going to give you a little lowdown of what to look out for over the weekend. Of course, we'll take a look ahead at the Saturday slate on the college football landscape. It is a separation Saturday. We're going to separate the pretenders and contenders. Of course, we'll have more tomorrow with our college football pregame show with residential scout Russell Landy, former NFL, CFL, XFL scout, will join us tomorrow. Of course, Wednesday, we had the legendary Howard Balzer, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, of course, Cards Wire over on USA Today. And we got into it with an in-depth conversation with the Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist nominees, the logjam there at wide receiver. We went over all the accolades, who should get in, who's on the outside looking in. Larry Fitzgerald, the first-time nominee. Torrey Holt, Steve Smith Sr., Reggie Wayne, Anquan Bolden, Hines Ward. I mean, a big logjam waiting for that knock into Canton. So we've archived all of the interviews over there on the YouTube channel, and whether you're streamed in on Facebook, Twitter, X, or YouTube, please smash that like button. We appreciate all the love and support. Of course, allaccessfootball.com. We got 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world. Drop us a line. Let us know where you're tuned in and watching from on this Football Friday affair. We are greatly appreciative that you are spending the next hour of power with us today. And of course, did you think I forgot about Thursday night football? Watch out. Buckle up. Woo! It's a frat boy invasion. Jackson Dart, Cam Scattaboo, the Gotham City dynamic duo. And we're going to begin right there with the Thursday night football affair. And boy, oh boy, these primetime games, we should have known if the line is more than a 1-point score. I mean, we should know by now that the NFL is a game of one-score ball games. Not only did the Giants cover, they won the game outright, ladies and gentlemen. Who saw this coming? And I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't know where to begin. What a game. The first time since 1998 that the G-Men have defeated a Super Bowl team. Last time they did that was back in 1998 when they defeated the Denver Broncos. And you wouldn't have known that the Philadelphia Eagles were the defending Super Bowl champions in this one, because the Giants came out prepared, ready to play on the back of the rookie duo, Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo. What a night. And I guess we'll start off with Jackson Dart, who just was calm under pressure, very efficient, 17 of 25, 195 passing yards, 1 touchdown pass, 1 rushing touchdown, 58 yards rushing. More importantly, no interceptions, no turnovers, sacked twice. But Cam Scattaboo, I mean, you talk about the Energizer Bunny and the difference in culture, just inserting these two rookies. And what was taking so long? I mean, myself, my guy Brian Baldinger, we were pounding the pavement for these guys to get in there early on. It's not too big for them. And Scattaboo just fell 2 yards short of 100 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. something that Saquon Barkley has never done in his career. How about that? Barkley being held relatively pedestrian, 12 carries for 58 yards. Now he had 31 yards on his first 2 carries, that Saquon Barkley, and just 10 carries for 27 yards the rest of the way in this ball game. And it was the Dart and Scatterboo show, sprinkled in with little Wendell Robinson, 6 catches for 84 yards, including that 35-yard touchdown. How about little Jordan Humphrey making some big plays, 4 catches and 55 yards for that young man? Andrew Phillips, we've talked about it. When he's bad, he's bad. When he's good, he's good. And he had a big fumble recovery. Tyler Nubin making up for lost time, 9 tackles last night. And, I think the most dramatic moment was when Dart went into the tent, right, under the concussion protocol, had to come out for a play. You saw Brian Daboll scrambling on the sidelines, poking his head in the tent, going crazy on the medical staffer there. And he did apologize after the game. But that one play that Russell Wilson came in, the whole vibe of the stadium changed. He threw an incomplete pass. The Boo Birds showered him out of the game. In comes Jackson Dart to hold on for the 34-17 victory. And, Brian Burns, 2 big sacks against that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I think he has 7 now on the season. He's playing at an all-pro caliber level. And we talked about Kayvon Thibodeau being on the trade block. Well, not so fast, my friends. The Giants may have resurrected their season here. And the Eagles, they just couldn't really get it going. Now, they did go up 17-14, I believe, when they did those 4 straight tush pushes there with Hurts pushing the pile. And you saw once again the illegal false start, offsides on the offensive guard, which for some reason the referees have not been able to pick up on this. And so you got a lot of grumbling there on the Twitterverse last night. A lot of people with their panties up in a bunch because the Eagles just bully ball their way. But hey, it didn't lead to a victory. So stop your crying. You want to stop it? Then stop it. Do better. Figure out a way. Why are they the only team that can execute it? Now, I hate to see them ban this rule, but since nobody can stop it, I have a feeling we might be seeing that. However, they should change the rule in terms of not being able to review an offsides on this play. That makes no sense to me, especially since we've seen it, 3 or 4 times occur through the first month of the season. So the tush push no longer undefeated as the Eagles dropped their 2nd straight. Of course, last week, Sean Payton razzing Philadelphia, taking the bus down Broad Street on the way back to the airport. And now Philadelphia, they've got a lot of questions to answer because their offensive identity, you saw Lane Johnson come out after the game saying the offense needs to be less predictable. And, there's been a lot of bickering in the city of brotherly love. A.J. Brown, a humble post-game presser. Devontae Smith, you saw him in-game frustrated on the sidelines. Now, Hurts, had that costly interception there at the end of the game. Just bad timing, and that was the end of the Eagles' momentum. It was his first interception in 304 passing attempts dating back to last season. Pretty incredible. And Cordell Flatt coming up with the big turnover. What stood out to me at the end, the Eagles, and we've talked about this, at the end of the game, you want to put the ball in your best player's hands. And they did not do that. In fact, that throw that was jumped by Cordell Flatt was intended for Jahan Dotson, not A.J. Brown, not Devontae Smith, not even Dallas Goedert, who had 110 receiving yards and a touchdown on the night. But you saw them go to Dotson. That was an interception. You saw them put the ball in A.J. Dillon's hands, who I think just touched the ball 2 or 3 times all the night. Dane Belton with the big punch out there, creating the turnover. And that's what happens, when you lose the supporting cast from a year ago. Philadelphia not as talented or deep as they were during their Super Bowl run. And the kinks in the armor are starting to show. Now, Jason Michael Schmitz, the center for the Giants, did leave this with an injury, as did Quinyon Mitchell. As the Eagles were down at the cornerback spot, he left with the hamstring. Jalen Carter did not play. He had a heel injury. He was inactive. Jordan Davis did step up in a big way, including a big sack. And now the Eagles, I talked about their offense. They've been outgained in all 6 of their matchups this season. So, Hurts 24-33 for 283 passing yards. I do think that's the season high. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Of course, 7 rushes for 13 yards, primarily on the tush push and the big touchdown to put them ahead. That was the last of the lead that the Eagles would have. We mentioned Barkley and Goddard. Now, A.J. Brown did have 9 targets, 6 catches for 80 yards. Devonta Smith had 5 targets. He caught 4 of them for 49 yards. And Brian Daboll improves to 5-16-1 now all time against the NFC East. So this was a big win for Brian Daboll and company. And also the Giants, remarkably, 0-10 on Thursday Night Football over the last 10 years. We've talked about the Giants and the Jets, the only 2 organizations in the National Football League to lose 100 games over the last 10 years, with the Giants losing 100, the Jets losing 107. I don't know if the Jets will win another game this season, but keeping it on Thursday Night Football, the post game, I stayed up for it, and it was something to watch with the Giants fans who stuck around and lingered there at the end. An incredible scene. And, I'm not a big fan of the Amazon Prime broadcast team. I think they're a bunch of clowns personally, but it was just a sight to see. Jackson Dart, you got the cameo from Jackson Dart's mom in the post game. You got Cam Scatterbo and Andre Whitworth tearing off their shirts to the fans, and just a wild scene post game, in game. And now we're going to see where the cookies crumble, because these teams are going to take a 1-game detour, as the Giants now, they beat the Chargers, which was a buzzsaw game. Then they go down to New Orleans and struggle on the road. I think we're going to find out a lot about this New York Giants team over the next 2 weeks, because they're going to travel now over to the Mile High City and take on the Denver Broncos, who are arguably as good as anybody in the National Football League, while the Eagles are going to travel to Minnesota, take on the Vikings. Of course, they're coming off the back-to-back travel from Dublin and London, and I saw a lot of Vikings players not too happy about the travel itinerary out there. We'll get into that more on the Sunday NFL Pick'em show, but Minnesota was staying an hour and a half away from London and where they practiced. A big reason why Jordan Addison missed the walkthrough on Friday and was benched during the first quarter of that London game. But Minnesota likes to throw the kitchen sink at their quarterbacks, a lot of pass rush there with the Vikings and Brian Flores, and that's going to be a big challenge for the Eagles now, who have dropped 2 straight, and God forbid they fall to the Vikings and then have to take on the New York Giants again. Oh my God, 2 weeks from now, we got another Giants and Eagles collision. It's going to be 2 freight trains coming at you, a little bit more turnpike football coming at you in just 2 weeks. But what a game. Very enjoyable for the Giants fans. They deserve it. They've been through a lot of pain and suffering. And of course, we'll be back at it on Monday night with the New and Blue podcast, the New York Giants podcast. We broadcast that live each and every Monday night, 7 p.m. right here, wherever you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So please smash that like button, share it, and subscribe it. And we're going to get into a whole lot more. I got NFL news and notes. We're going to go around the college football landscape. We got Friday Night Lights still to get to. We got Separation Saturday, some big games on the docket for the Saturday football action. Of course, we're going to get into the Canadian Football League WestJet Thanksgiving weekend series. Just 3 weeks remaining in the regular season. And, 6 of those 9 teams separated by just 1 game. So a lot of key matchups on the Canadian Football League schedule. We'll get into all that and more right here on the All Access Football Daily Show. It is your home for real football talk on this Football Friday, October 10th, 2025. It's our 40th edition here on the All Access Football Daily Show. Pour out a little liquor, and we'll see you right after this. Hey, RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And
I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
All right, we're back at it again here on the All Access Football Daily Show. I am your host, Ric Serritella, here on this October 10th, 2025. It is your home for real football talk, and we had a thriller in the Meadowlands right up the road here in New Jersey, broadcasting live from the confines of the Jersey Shore as we're buckled up and hunkered down for the big storm coming in this weekend. Please, everyone, be safe out there, and we'll await the storm. But there's a storm brewing in the college football landscape. We'll get to that in just a minute. We'll preview the WestJet Thanksgiving weekend in the Canadian Football League. But first, we turn our attention to the NFL news and notes. And if you're just tuning in, we spent about 20 minutes on that Thursday night football matchup in the A block. You can go back and watch the archives on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hey, smash that like button while you're here. Drop us a line. We'd love to get interactive with you and appreciate all the comments throughout the week that you guys drop on all of our interviews and our short reels and our live shows. And can't thank you enough for the love and support out there. Now, NFL news and notes. QB watch. Brock Purdy toe did not practice yesterday once again. Mac Jones, who's nursing a knee injury, threw lightly, so he was limited. And, a lot of quarterback controversy now in regards to the Brock Purdy, Mac Jones situation. Kyle Shanahan coming out and saying Mac's not creating any kind of a stir inside the locker room. But you wonder now, if he's got these 49ers rocking and rolling, do they leave Mac Jones in there for another week or two and see if some magic starts to begin? And that's how Brock Purdy got inserted into the lineup, and he never turned back. But we'll see. Now, Brock Purdy looks like he's not going to play once again. Mac Jones in line for another start. We were holding out hope on George Kittle, who did return to practice this week. He's been out with the hamstring injury. He has been ruled out once again. And we mentioned Jake Tongas the Cal product has really emerged as a big-time playmaking threat in that 49ers offense. So San Francisco, they've been banged up, busted, and bruised, but they find out ways to win, and we'll continue to monitor that situation as we get closer on Sunday. Also, Lamar Jackson, hamstring, did not practice once again. It looks like Cooper Rush is going to get the start for Baltimore as the Ravens continue to be on the ropes and their season unraveling. You know, we put out the NFL mock draft October edition on Wednesday over at the allaccessfootball.com. And the Ravens right now are slated to pick number 3. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but I did give him Reuben Bain, the pass rusher out of Miami, to kind of help heal some of their woes in the latest mock draft edition, which featured 4 quarterbacks, including 2, which are going to square off on Saturday, and Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. More on that later on in the show. But sticking to the NFL side, Trayvon Walker, you know, he had that wrist surgery last week, and he was questionable heading into that Monday Night Football affair with the Kansas City Chiefs that they eloquently won. But Walker's still limited in practice. Jaguars are holding out hope that he can play. And then Xavier Worthy, who also went down in that game, he's got leg injuries. Now he missed practice again with the shoulder injury. And Xavier Worthy, he's like Humpty Dumpty, man. You got to bandage and wrap him up each and every week. Hold your breath every time he goes down to the ground. And that's the byproduct of drafting these speedy, smaller wideouts. They usually have some kind of lingering injury, and that's been the case of Xavier Worthy since he's come into the league. Now, the Chiefs offense, when he's healthy, has a different identity. He adds that speed element, can take the lid off of defense. In the meantime, if Worthy can't go, well, then Patrick Mahomes will be up to his old shenanigans again, making stars out of nobodies, and Tyquan Thornton and Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown. And I think Patrick Mahomes gets the most out of his offense than any quarterback in the National Football League. And then Dallas, you know, we've talked about their injury woes, and their practice report we mentioned yesterday was at 15 players. Yesterday, it increased to 17 players who did not practice or were limited in practice. And the Cowboys, of course, still beat the New York Jets last week, down 5 marquee starters. But Dallas, despite all their injuries, they have looked relatively better than what I expected coming out of them this season. So that is your NFL news and notes portion of the show. We also have a couple of interesting developments just to follow up. You know, I mentioned the Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly back and forth, you know, in regards to the play calling. Pete Carroll coming out after the game last week saying that we need to do a better job of play calling. We need to run the ball more. And obviously Chip Kelly is the play caller there, and he was asked about that this week. And, you know, Kelly defended himself in terms of his play calling. And of course, you know, Chip just wants to coach ball. He got out of that UCLA gig, didn't want to deal with the NIL and transfer portal. And now his play calling has been questioned there in Las Vegas. But hard to call good plays when your quarterback stinks. And Geno Smith has got about 8 interceptions this season. So, yeah, maybe you should run the ball a little bit more and stop trying to tell people how to run the ball, because you tried to force Aston Genty to run upright for the first 4 games, and then you let him revert back to his natural stand-up position, and he went wild, didn't he? So who's that on, Pete Carroll? Is that a offensive coordinator problem or a coaching decision? Sometimes we got to look ourselves in the mirror, don't we? Good friend Pete Carroll. We go back, way back, don't we? And Chris Jones, we mentioned yesterday he deleted all of his social media accounts, and he came out yesterday and was asked about it and said, hey, in regards to taking that final play off where Trevor Lawrence fell down and scored, he said, it's a teaching point. I can't take plays off. I can't think that the play is over, and it's a learning lesson. I thought it was over. And Chris Jones at least coming out and taking some responsibility, because he received a lot of backlash on social media. And we've seen social media get to some players this season, most notably Xavier Howard of the Colts, I believe, who just got up and retired, said family is first. Chris Jones deleting all of his social media. Hey, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. and Ric Serritella is here on the All Access Football Show to deliver the real talk. All right, some college football news and notes before we get into the matchup previews, some injury updates here that are notable. Of course, Oklahoma and Texas, a big time matchup this week. And John Mateer, who had surgery on his throwing hand to correct a broken bone in his right hand, he now is looking like probable for the Longhorns matchup, and then we'll get a good QB showdown there between John Mateer and Arch Manning. And, I've broken my hand, many bones in my hands, and have let them heal naturally. So I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. They got shots and injections and painkillers for these type of things. So I think John Mateer will be good to go. Now, a new injury that popped up on the injury report this week is Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, who is doubtful now against Utah with an undisclosed injury. And if he can't go, Jeff Sims will get the start. Remember him, once a very heralded quarterback over there at Georgia Tech with Jeff Collins, showed some flashes early on in his career, has some mobility and elusiveness, can throw very well on the run, that Jeff Sims. So we might get a Jeff Sims sighting there against Utah. And then Jaden Greathouse, who I've been a big fan of. He hasn't really delivered this year, but remember the Notre Dame college football playoff run? Jaden Greathouse, especially in that national championship game, was making plays all over the field. He's got a right thigh contusion. He's going to be out this week against NC State. So some notable player injuries there on the college football landscape. And we've got, a great Friday Night Lights lineup. And you see me rocking the Rutgers shirt. If you're watching home on the stream, the mic is I'm all Rutgers out, actually. I got the Rutgers pants on, if you guys can see it. The mic is blocking it. Are you ready for some football? And we are amped and ready for some football. We'll get to the Rutgers at Washington game coming up at 9:00 tonight in just a moment, but we do have a couple others in action over in the American Football Conference, 7:30 p.m. over on ESPN2. You've got USF 4-1 at North Texas 5-0. North Texas coming in as slight favorites in this one. They've been one of the sleeping giants in college football. They put up a lot of points. I expect this to be a high-scoring affair. Of course, USF had some very big wins early on in the season. They were even dancing in the top 25 at one point. And Bryce Brown is a quarterback we've talked about. You go back 2 years ago, he was carving up the college football universe. He's got a dual threat capability, strong arm, excellent runner. Bryce Brown, a name you need to know for that USF and North Texas matchup. We've also got a Mountain West matchup at 9:00 over at CBS Sports Network. Fresno State 5-1 at Colorado State 1-4. And the guy you want to keep an eye on here is E.J. Warner, the son of Kurt Warner. He's got the Bulldogs riding high, flying high. Of course, the former Temple product. He did spend one season at Rice, and he's shown flashes. Now, he's been kind of prone to throw the interception a little bit more than our liking, that E.J. Warner, but Fresno State at 5-1 on the road at Colorado State. And then the B1G, Big Ten's got some big-time matchups this week. And Rutgers at Washington will kick it off later on tonight over on FS1. Rutgers 3-2 at Washington 4-1. And this game, we are broadcasting live from the Jersey Shore, and this one means a lot to me because not only does it involve our hometown Rutgers Scarlet Knights, but also the head coach over there at the Washington Huskies, a high school alumni of my Hanover Park Hornets, Jed Fish, class of 94, Ric Serritella, class of 98 for your Hanover Park Hornets, 1997 Iron Hills Conference champions. Big shout out to our captain, Joe Corbett. I know he's a big fan of the show and tunes in. If he's watching, JC, what's up? And Fish actually did not play football at Hanover Park. He was a all-state tennis athlete there for the Hornets, and now he is, of course, the head man for the Washington Huskies. All right, some names you need to know as we get into this one. All right, coming into the year, CJ Campbell was on the Senior Bowl watch list. I don't know why. that was. But a lot of times, these all-star game watch lists, they get a hold of the Blesto and the national grades, and they just kind of copy and mimic that. But CJ Campbell at no point in time has really been the feature back at Rutgers, and he's actually taken a back seat here to the sophomore sensation, uh, Antoine Raymond, who at 5'10" or 5'11", 205 pounds, out of Montreal, Quebec. Hard-nosed runner who hits the hole with authority, not a speedster, but can accelerate in the open field for big gains. And he's a stellar blocker, that Antoine Raymond. And I think he's going to be a really good pro prospect in a couple of years to keep an eye on. Now, we've talked about Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the Minnesota quarterback, who's now in his third year, I think, as the starter for Rutgers. He's up there in the league leaders when it comes to passing yardage. 6'2", 215 pounds, a little bit streaky, right? The accuracy drops when he's forced out of the pocket. Doesn't really do well making the off-platform throws. A lot of times it can lead to interceptions. He is a team captain there for your Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and he's been finding Ian Strong, the big-bodied possession wide out there early and often, and Strong is strong after the catch. He can break tackles, pick up that yak. He comes in at 6'3" and 2/8 inches, 210 pounds. Definitely a name you need to know for the NFL draft. And the one guy that I like who's caught my attention, and he shows up in spurts, and I've talked about him here on the show early on in the season. Tez Johnson comparison I gave him, DT Sheffield. And he comes in undersized at 5'7" and 6/8 inches, 172 pounds. But this guy's a speed burner. He's a dangerous return man. He can do damage in unorthodox ways, sudden change of direction, makes defenders miss, a lot of twitch, creates space, and the separation, the speed, it all comes into play in DT Sheffield. Don't be surprised to see him on some end arounds, some bubble screens. I'd like to see DT Sheffield involved more in this offense for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now, they do have on defense Eric O'Neill, a pass rusher transfer from James Madison, comes in at 6'3", 259 pounds, and has been making some plays here as he continues to boost his draft stock. And Bradley Weaver, the other edge rusher, is just a name to keep an eye on there for your Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Over on the Washington side of the ball, Denzel Boston, you might remember his pops, David Boston, big time receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Denzel comes in at 6'3" and 1/8 inches, 209 pounds, having a phenomenal season, solid route runner, and tremendous ball skills I have here in my notes. Great leaping ability, excels in tracking the ball underneath and on deep routes. Like to see him use his size to his advantage a little bit more. Also, Jonah Coleman, I'm a believer. I mean, this guy is just an incredible force at 5'8" and 6/8 inches. He comes in at a well-built, stocky frame, 229 pounds, thick, dense, low to the ground back, dual threat runner, pass catcher. You've seen him gash opponents in the receiving game. Shows a lot of patience, and he's down there ducking and hiding behind his big offensive lineman, and then boom, he just bursts through the daylight, hits the hole with authority. That Jonah Coleman, he does need to work on the pass protection. He's a little bit undersized. He struggles on third downs. He's usually rotated out for another back who does a better job there on third downs, but surprisingly quick, more quicker than fast, has great power despite his size. And when you talk about the versatile skill set, I think if you can get over the height stature, Jonah Coleman is a excellent change of pace slasher, committee type of running back at the next level. We'll see what he does against a stymie Rutgers defense who hasn't lived up to that. Right. A lot of criticism about the Rutgers defense, usually known for defense. It's been their offense that's been carrying them more so. And then Tacario Davis, the cornerback for Washington, it seems like he's been on the NFL draft radar forever, coming in at 6'3", 190 pounds, expected to test in that 4.4 range, is Tacario Davis. And so those are Just some names you need to know for the 2026 NFL draft as we count you down to destination Pittsburgh. Okay, we're going to take one more break in the show. When we come back, we're going to give away some books. We're going to get into some of the Saturday action on the college football docket. I mentioned it's a separation Saturday. We're going to try to separate the pretenders from the contenders. And I got a lot to get into on the Canadian Football League side of things. It's a Football Friday affair, so buckle up, hunker down. We're waiting the storm here at the Jersey Shore. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day Circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic, get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
All right, man. We are moving and grooving here on the All Access Football Daily Show. We're about 2/3 of our way through the Hour of Power. It's our 40th edition here on October 10th, 2025. It is your home for real football talk, and we cover it all: NFL, college football, Friday Night Lights. Yesterday, we got into the United Football League. We dedicated a whole segment with our good friend James Larson in our under construction edition. I appreciate everybody's patience yesterday as the new roof went on here at the All Access Football Studios, broadcasting live from the Jersey Shore around the football universe. Check out allaccessfootball.com. 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the football world, and all 32 NFL teams locked and loaded, fully subscribed for allaccessfootball.com, where it's always draft season, and we talk NFL draft and everything pigskin here on the All Access Football Daily Show. And do us a favor, would you? Can you like, share, and subscribe? We need to get our algorithm weight up here in the algorithm game, and we're doing pretty good on the Twitter X. Still need to get our weight up on the YouTube channel, and Facebook's been a hit or miss. But we love interaction. We love feedback. We love to know where you're listening from. And just a reminder, all of our interviews, including James Larson, the Pro Football Hall of Fame debate with Howard on Wednesday, you can find it all on YouTube along with our short reels. And if you don't want to leave a comment here, leave a comment over there. We appreciate all the love and support. We're going to give away some books here in just a minute. In the A block, we went over the Thursday night football recap. Last segment, we went into some NFL news and notes, college football injury updates. We also previewed the Friday Night Lights with some names you need to know. It's another Jersey Strong day here. If the Giants took care of the Eagles yesterday, Rutgers going to look to travel cross country, take on our good friend Jed Fish, proud alumni of Hanover Park Hornets, graduated in 1994, 4 years before yours truly. So, we hope nothing but the best for Fish, but we like Rutgers for the hometown rivalry that is. And let's see, we've got tomorrow the Saturday football pregame show. We do with an NFL draft slant. Of course, our residential scout Russ Landy will be joining me for tomorrow's show, and we'll be breaking down a lot of good games. And we try to highlight all the marquee matchups with a keen focus on top prospects that you need to know. I'm not sure how much we'll get covered tomorrow, so I want to just dive in a little bit on some of the games on the Saturday docket here. So let's do it, shall we? How about Alabama at Missouri? The Crimson Tide. We talked about Ty Simpson on the Scout Notebook on Monday's edition, and now how every week there's a different quarterback who seems to kind of elevate himself into the first round conversation. It's a murky quarterback class this year, and we'll get to the Oregon-Indiana matchup in a second. Two other potential first round signal callers, but Ty Simpson faces another undefeated ball club in Missouri who's 5-0, an SEC matchup. And I'll tell you, one guy I got a man crush on is this Caden Proctor, and he's been kind of criticized for his weight. His weight has fluctuated. We got him listed at 359. That might be a little bit generous at 6'7", but I'm not questioning the weight. Have you seen this guy move? Have you seen the agility? Have you seen him catch the ball and run the ball? I mean, he looks like the refrigerator Perry with the ball in his hands, and I like that. I mean, this is a guy who can moonlight at fullback, maybe get you some goal line carries. You saw him take the ball and catch and just rumble, bumble, stumble for about 10 yards as he carried half of the defense into the end zone with him. He's a 5-star recruit, and he has lived up to the billing that Caden Proctor state in his case as potentially the top offensive tackle for the 2026 NFL draft. Damani Jackson, the cornerback, he's stating his case as the premier cornerback prospect, and he's been as steady as any corner out there at 6'3", 191 pounds. The San Diego native is a physical defender, solid speed, explosive pop in the change of direction, fluid hips, top-notch ability to track the ball, and a sound tackler. So Damani Jackson, someone who helps out in the pass defense, the run defense, very willing tackler. And I like Damani Jackson as a first-round prospect, as I do Jeremy Bernard. And we had our good friend Chad Reiter, one of the best NFL draft analysts in the world, a couple weeks back from NFL.com. And he was all over Jeremy Bernard at 6 foot and 6/8 inches, 209 pounds, very good size, Las Vegas product out there in the Valley. He does it all, great footwork, ability to separate out of his breaks, instincts to find the open seam in the zone, precise route runner, versatility as a return man on special teams. His arrow is pointing up. And we've talked about it. Like, he can beat you deep. He can beat you in the short field. He can beat you on the bubble screens, the end arounds. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got quickness. Jeremy Bernard maybe doesn't get talked about enough, but a very good looking prospect for the 2026 NFL draft. And LT Overton, been a little bit of a mixed bag this season. He came in with very high grades, potential first round pick. Inside, outside versatility, can play interior, can play the edge, 6'2" 3/8 inches, 274 pounds, great length, 33.5-inch arms, 82-inch wingspan. And he faces a lot of double teams and shows that he can handle them. He's got a rare size speed combination, relentless motor. He's going to put pressure there in the backfield. and he did have an injury, I think, earlier in the season. Justin Jefferson, he exploded onto the scene last week. I think he had 17 tackles, 14 tackles, and a sack, flying all over the field. Now, size is going to be an issue for him at 6 foot and 2/8 inches, just 218 pounds. He's a little bit light, and you know, he's had his moments though, but when you see him take on bigger linemen, he tends to get washed out, especially in the run game there. But he does make plays. He is on the radar, as is Deontay Lawson, a solid day two prospect out of Mobile, Alabama, 6'2" and 3/8 inches, 218 pounds, also a little bit light. But some other guys to keep an eye on: Keon Sabb, one of the top playmaking safeties, New Jersey native, probably in that mid-round range. And then Tim Keenan the third, defensive tackle, team captain, fiery leader. He was injured earlier in the season. He comes in at 6'2" and 3/8, 313 pounds, very short arms, 30 inches and 4/8. That's going to be an issue there at the next level, but he does play on the inside, so maybe teams can overlook that. Jam Miller's back from injury. The running back there had a lot of high preseason grades. He's still trying to find his footing there for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And a couple guys on the offensive line, Jaden Roberts and Parker Brailsford. They both have center and guard experience, can play all three interior spots. So probably somewhere in the mid-round range for Parker Brailsford and Jaden Roberts. So those are some Alabama names you need to know. Over on the Missouri side, Caden Green, arguably one of the best guards in this year's draft, 6'4" and 5/8 inches, 320 pounds. Definitely a name you need to know. And Kevin Coleman, the playmaking wide receiver, he comes in at 5'11" and 2/8 inches, 180 pounds. Zion Young, who NFL scouts love the measurables and love the athleticism, the size, the traits, 6'5", 265 pounds. We need to see him produce, right? And he's got all the tools in the toolbox, but when will the light click on for Zion Young? Maybe it's this week against Alabama. All right. Another game I want to talk about is Florida at Texas A&M. Again, SEC ramifications and the Gators. We talked about it on Saturday's show. Caleb Banks, one of the premier defensive tackles in this year's draft, is injured. That's an unfortunate development because he was trending as a potential first-round pick. Now, they do have Tyreek Sapp, the nephew of Warren Sapp, who was coached there by Jason Taylor out of St. Thomas Aquinas. Very high pedigree, 6'2" and 5/8, 275 pounds. You're going to have to find out where his home is at the next level. Another one of these inside-outside prospects. Damian George from Florida, the offensive guard, has caught our attention. Another big body guard who had an impressive showing there against Texas. And Austin Barber, he's probably a day two selection at the offensive tackle spot, 6'5", 2/8 inches, 314 pounds. Of course, Eugene Wilson III, playmaking slot receiver there. And Jermichael Sturdivant, who came over from UCLA, he's been almost non-existent in this offense. But you talk about size, speed, 6'2", 205 pounds. He's been timed in the 4.2 range. Jermichael Sturdivant. Excuse me. All right. I want to get to some Canadian Football League talk, but we also, Texas A&M real quick. They've got Kevin Concepcion, another slot receiver prospect. Trey Zune, who Chad Ryder liked a lot, but another guy with 31-inch arms. You remember they made a big deal about Will Campbell's 33-inch arms. I think Zune is going to have a home on the interior at the next level. Will Lee, big, lengthy corner, very high on the NFL radar, as is Le'Veon Moss, the running back there. And Kashis Howell, this guy's improved his draft stock significantly, 6'2", 249 pounds on the edge. Keep an eye on that young man. If you want more NFL draft breakdowns, I encourage you to visit allaccessfootball.com. We shine the spotlight on the Big Ten, including Indiana at Oregon. Both teams 5-0. Indiana ranked number 7. Oregon ranked number 3. We've also outlined Ohio State at Illinois, another Big Ten showdown. Ohio State 5-0, Illinois 5-1. And if you go over to the website, you will find over 70 prospects listed for just those 2 games alone. We've listed 70 pro prospects. We've got over a dozen in-depth scouting reports. We've got verified measurements, projections, of course, our insider intel you won't find anywhere else. And we shine the spotlight specifically on Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. This is an ultimate showdown between 2 potential number 1 quarterbacks in the upcoming 2026 NFL draft. So you can find that over at allaccessfootball.com. And of course, we'll do more tomorrow with our residential scout, Russell Landy. But we're winding down here in the Power of Hour on our 40th edition on the All Access Football Daily Show. Remember, we are your home for real football talk, talking NFL draft and everything pigskin. And this weekend is the WestJet Thanksgiving weekend north of the border and the Canadian Football League. Just 3 weeks remaining in CFL action, and things are getting interesting because you've got Saskatchewan, who I believe is 11-4. You've got Edmonton, who I think is like 6-9, and then Ottawa, who's down in the dumps 4-11. Everybody else is within 1 game. They either got 9 wins or 8 wins. A lot of teams hovering around the 500 mark as they make this late playoff push. And, I encourage you to tune in to the Canadian Football League. It starts tonight. You can watch all the games for free on CFL Plus. If you go over to cfl.ca, you'll see the CFL Plus tab in the menu bar, and all you got to do is enter your email, and you can watch all the games for free. It's a very exciting brand of football for those of you who are not tuned in or dialed in. We're going to try to just give you some highlights. And the CFL is averaging 53.9 points per game. It's a high-scoring game, fast-paced game. That's the highest scoring mark for the league since 2008. Okay. Montreal Alouettes quarterback Davis Alexander looking to extend his perfect career start to 10-0. And they face Ottawa Red Blacks, who he is 2-0 against, and he needs 52 passing yards to reach 3,000 for his career. He is undefeated coming into his CFL career. And also a couple other notables. Matteo Betts, remember him? Ryan Pace gave him a shot there with the Chicago Bears, the Canadian product. First-round pick, 3rd overall in the 2019 CFL draft. He leads the CFL with 14 sacks. Pretty impressive for Matteo Betts. And he's got 10 sacks in his last 4 games. Who knows? Maybe the NFL will be calling to kick the tires on him once again. All right. In terms of close games, we talk about it at the NFL level. Well, 51% through 18 weeks of action, half of the games have been decided in the final 3 minutes. A lot of these games go down to the wire, 3-down football. You're never truly out of it. Let's take a look at some matchups, shall we? Toronto 5-11 at Saskatchewan 11-4. Toronto's down. Chad Kelly hasn't played all season. Nick Arbuckle down for the year. Jarrett Dagey has been playing there for Toronto. And these 2 teams met in week 3. Saskatchewan taking that one 39-32. Tavarius McFadden, the Florida State product, leads the league with 7 interceptions this season. And quarterback Trevor Harris for Saskatchewan, he's got his 6th career 4,000 passing yard season. He's 5-5 all time against Toronto. AJ Ouellette, you remember him coming out of Ohio, 2019 undrafted free agent. He had a cup of coffee with the Saints and Browns. He's got 222 carries, the most by a Rough Rider running back since Corey Sheets. Remember Corey Sheets out of Purdue in 2009? I sure do. Calgary 8-7 at Hamilton 10-6. These 2 teams met in week 1. Calgary took that one 38-26. Vernon Adams 6-4 career against Hamilton. He'll try to do it for Calgary. Derek Moncrief leads the league with 9 tackles for a loss. I remember him well coming out of Oklahoma, an undrafted rookie free agent in 2017. And Bo Levi-Mitchell, he needs just 274 passing yards for his 4th career 5,000-yard passing season in the Canadian Football League. And Kenny Lawler is a touchdown machine, something he did quite well at Cal Berkeley. He's got 13 touchdowns this season, the most by a Ticat since Brandon Banks in 2019. And he was a former 7th-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks back in 2016. And also running back Greg Bell, has 474 rushing yards over his last 4 games. Remember, his father, Greg Bell, was a first-round pick back in 1984 coming out of Notre Dame for the Buffalo Bills. And Greg Bell, the San Diego State product, doing big things north of the border. Winnipeg Blue Bombers are heating up. They visit my former team, the Edmonton Elks, 6-9. And they're coming off the bye week, those Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're 18-2. Since 2017, coming off the bye week. Brady Oliveira needs 29 rushing yards for his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard season, joining Normie Kwong as the only other Canadian player to do that. Normie Kwong did it back in 1955 through 1958. And Nick Dembski's been a playmaking receiver for Winnipeg. He's looking for his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season. He needs 4 yards for that. He needs 7 catches for 500 for his career. And Cody Fajardo, who has taken over for Trey Ford, is 3-9 all-time against Winnipeg and 44-26 against all other teams. So he has struggled against the Blue Bombers. He needs 5 touchdowns for 100 in his career, and he has not thrown an interception in his last 134 attempts. All right, one other game to get to. Ottawa, 4-11 at Montreal, 8-7. They met in week 2. I failed to mention Winnipeg and Edmonton met in week 4. Winnipeg took that one 36-23. Ottawa and Montreal in week 2. Montreal took that 39-18, and then they ran into some injury woes. Ottawa has allowed the fewest passing touchdowns this season with just 17 allowed. Former Alouette and current Red Blacks wide receiver Eugene Lewis, my former teammate in Edmonton, needs 47 yards to reach 1,000 on the season. That's what Eugene Lewis does. And the West Virginia product, I believe. And Davis Alexander, we mentioned, is a perfect start to his career, 10-0 all time in the Canadian Football League. So that is your WestJet Thanksgiving weekend as we cover the football universe here on the All Access Football Daily Show. Yesterday, we had James Larson providing you with everything you need to know for the United Football League. You can go back and watch that interview on the archives over on YouTube. Of course, Wednesday, we had the legendary Howard Balzer, 50 years of covering the NFL, of course, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. He should be a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame with his career. And we got into the wide receiver logjam that is waiting to get the knock from Canton. You can catch all that over on YouTube. Smash that like button again if you're tuned in on Facebook, Twitter, X, or wherever you may be streaming. And before we go, we appreciate everyone who supports the show. The best way to do that is to subscribe over at allaccessfootball.com. And we've anteed up the stakes. We now have a pop-up 50% discount sale going on right now over at allaccessfootball.com. You don't have to enter any promo codes, but if you subscribe today, you will get access to all of our insider content, including the Draft Insider posted today, the world-famous All Access Football Report that comes out on Wednesdays, of course, our scouting notebook that is published every Monday, and of course, the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, which we put out in April, includes over 500 in-depth scouting reports. Well, not only that, courtesy of our sponsors, Inside the League, Neil Stratton, Value Picks, Inside the 2016 NFL Draft 10-year anniversary. He interviewed over 100 front office personnel for this book. If you want to learn how the NFL draft process works, this takes you inside the war room. It's a fantastic book. It's an easy read, lots of insight if you're into the intricacies of player evaluation. In addition, but wait, there's more. We got more deals than Crazy Eddie. We're going to throw in a pack of Canadips, courtesy of our new sponsor, Canadips.com, the CBD pouches. These things retail for about $35 a pack. The Value Picks book goes for $20 on Amazon, but you can get it all for just $20 right now, plus our All Access Football Insider content, the 2026 NFL Draft Bible. What a deal. What a deal. For less than $2 a month, you can have a $75 value. So if you like the show, you enjoy our content, you want to show your love and support, that is the best way to do it. And we thank you so much. We'll be dropping these in the mail to all of our new subscribers. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow for another edition of the All Access Football Daily Show, your home for real football talk. We'll have our residential scout, Russell Landy, former NFL, CFL, XFL scout, joins me every Saturday for our college football pregame show. A little bit of NFL draft slant. Of course, Sunday we'll have our NFL Around the League Pick'em show. And we did recap that Thursday night football affair in the A block earlier in today's show. We had NFL news and notes, college football injury updates, a look ahead at the Friday Night Lights going down with names you need to know, and we previewed some of the Separation Saturday games on the college football docket here on the All Access Football Show. Of course, we just did the Canadian Football League report. So, hey, we'll be back at it again tomorrow for another hour of power. This is my least favorite portion of the show when it's time to say goodbye, because I love talking football with you. So we'll come back tomorrow and try to do better on our 41st edition. This was our 40th edition here on October 10th, 2025. Enjoy all the action tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning to break it all down. Buckle up and hunker down. The storm is coming here at the Jersey Shore, and we're braced for it. Nobody more prepared than Ric Serritella and AllAccessFootball.com.
Hey, RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
You are watching All Access Football.